We're back in front of the camera. Nice little tripod, nice little studio. I think it's a tad bit crooked. So I feel like I'm looking at. Normally, I have that painting in the background. One of the reasons I put it there is because I kind of judge if it's straight or not by the angle, and that's probably gonna throw me off. Let's see. Maybe that's a little better. I don't know. There is like a little level, a little bubble on the tripod, but it only does like this pitch, like kind of like a vertical pitch. Anyways, it'll have to do. So we're talking about chapter 15. Chapter 15, looking for lion's share clues. This one I'm pretty excited about because it reminds me, the way it's set up, it reminds me of chapters, where we go here? Reminds me of chapters 11 and 12. Because 11 and 12 are the two like gold chapters with to do with like the gold off the coast of Brazil, and then the gold off of the San Francisco gold. So those two chapters are kind of like together, and they're right next to each other. And chapters 15 and 16 are both like Olympic gold medals. That's the treasure, and they're both right next to each other. So I think there's a lot of, mirrors. And again, if we want to do the colors, which I was just about to get away from the colors, and then something in this chapter made me think of the colors again. So we're still doing the colors, all right? We're still doing the blues, blue, green, and red, all right? Those are the three that we're still doing. And I found something blue in this chapter that's pretty interesting, so we're still doing that. But emeralds are found where there's two like geological forces, two mountains, two plates together, and the pressure. And so I think this is one where we might look for an emerald or look for something green in these two chapters, or where they meet, or what they have in common. But for chapter 15 specifically, we'll go ahead and start out with the color blue, because we're looking at the top of page 139. And again, this one, it's kind of small. It's pivotal to the story, right? It's not small in that aspect. Like the story of her, twisting her ankle hours or days before running the Olympics, and and winning. That's not small at all. That's pretty pivotal. But all right, I'm gonna read out the sentence and tell me what you think. All right. So the plot here at the top of page 139 is her and her teammates. The temperature is over 100. They're looking for a place to cool down. They find some sprinklers. They're frolicking, jumping around, and she jumps over a sprinkler, lands awkwardly in a hole on the other side. Her ankle contorted violently with a pop. Teammates rushed to examine her. Her ankle swelled and turned blue. All right, so then the training staff was called over, yada, yada. Okay, so her ankle swelled and turned blue is really short. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 words. Normally with bruises, at least that I'm familiar with, it's the term is like black and blue or purple, right? So I've heard, and just from a brief Google, it's nothing definitive, but just for common writing. And again, a lot of what JCB says, he uses a lot of phrases that are uncommon. And again, I don't know if that's a product of his childhood, where maybe the professor that taught creative writing at UNC was a really creative guy and used a lot of off the wall phrases, right? But I just would expect this to say either turn purple or turn black and blue, not just turn blue. So when I saw that, and I'm trying to get away from the color blues, but here's a blue, it just like made me think back. Okay, hold on, there's something here. All right, so again, that sentence is so short. And the teammates rush to examine her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's also a very short sentence. So 5 and then 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 6, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the other one's a normal length sentence. But whenever it's a really short sentence length, I've always like paying attention to it, because that's an intentional, that's a writing technique. You write really short sentences for emphasis, for more that they carry more weight. So her ankle swelled and turned blue. So now I'm thinking, okay, going back to blue, right? Going back to, which I haven't read this in a while. I haven't read it in a while online or like out loud. So I want to go ahead and do that, because it's good to keep it fresh in the mind. We're looking at page 30, 30, 30, 30. 33. All right, very top. But what about the color blue? A blue lotus possesses the most powerful symbolism of all. So we're looking for symbolism. A blue lotus indicates that knowledge and wisdom have conjoined to prepare a path to enlightenment where secrets are revealed. Okay, so again, a lot of things in this book are talking about conjoin, pairing, marrying. I mean, a lot of twos, which is funny because as they're describing things in pairs, so they're describing things in twos, but the actual numbers are 3 and 5. Like there's a lot of threes, there's a lot of fives. I mean, the Olympic rings. In this chapter, in the next chapter, there's 5 Olympic rings. So a lot of threes and fives as far as numbers go, but as far as symbolism and a structure, there's a lot of pairs, mirrors, and twos, right? But there's not so much of the letter. There's not so much of the number 2 like written out like 2. Again, so whenever we see blue, we're looking for symbolism, right? And so what kind of symbolism are we looking for when she twists her ankle? I mean, we could take it, one of the top ways that I took it is, turns and twist, all right, which try not to get sucked into the whole past and future box about turns and twists. But if we're looking for a lion's share clue, maybe we're looking for a certain bend, whether bend is in the name, like horseshoe bend, or whether we're looking at a specific bend in a trail, or we're looking for a trail or river or canyon that bends and turns a lot. I mean, this chapter, the theme of twists and turns becoming straight are pretty prevalent. I mean, it's at least like 2 or 3 times. So we look at her leg, right, with polio, becoming twisted, right, and they had to use metal to straighten it. And then there's once it is straightened, there's that one time where the paragraph we're talking about turning blue, she jumps over and twists it, right, so it gets twisted again. And then, I mean, the word straight is not said, but I would say it's kind of implied. I mean, you can't run on an ankle that's twisted, so it kind of has to straighten out on its own. It strengthens, and so she wins with the speed. So, I mean, that's the second one that's straightened out. And then even, what does it say? There was even another one where someone contorts their face or gives her a cross look. That's page 139. That one's a little bit, that's a little bit more out there. I would cry if someone gave me a cross look. You can talk about if someone, makes a face at someone, their face gets twisted. That one's a little bit of a stretch, right? So now we want to look at the segues. I'm always interested in the segues. This one kind of enlightened me, and I might go back and I might go back and correct some of my thoughts with the whole quotes. I think I went down that the last 2 chapters about how some quotes don't have attribute or who said it, and some quotes do. And now I'm thinking in page 140 when he talks about years later Ali lost his gold medal, which I thought was kind of weird another weird story to be forced in here in the end. I mean, he spends how many pages? 1, 2, 3, like 4 or 5 pages full text talking about Wilma. And then at the very end, it's a quick story, which Muhammad Ali is not like a quick story guy. Like so much about his life, so much about his challenges, the controversy, I mean, the excellence, the boxing, the skill, the ability. And it's just weird to me to just kind of shove in a half a page, a couple quotes about Muhammad Ali at the end. I mean, one of the greatest, right? And I mean, I get the connection, right? So he goes, there's a fascinating thread that connects this chapter. So the thread is that Cassius Clay, all right, also participated with Wilma at the 1960 Rome Olympics. And then there's a story about how he threw away or lost his gold medal. And so at the 1996 Olympics, he's presented a new one. And so I guess the connection is, hey, how do we get from 1960 to 1996? And the connection is, well, Ali was at both of them. At one of them, he competed. Doesn't say anything about whether he won or his record there. And then it goes to... Okay, well, what did it say? Clay, who later changed his name to Muhammad Ali, won boxing gold in convincing fashion for a sold-out crowd. I mean, I guess that would be his record. But then it talks about the next chapter about the very same 1996 Olympics. So, I mean, we all know his segues are a little strange sometimes. So, if we're looking for a clue in this chapter, do we think that, he brought in this Cassius Clay little cheeseburger, throwing away the gold story as part of a clue to introduce? Which it seems to me like he really respects Wilma. Like in my mind, I'm pretty sure he read her whole autobiography, right? And so, would it be insulting? I mean, I started thinking about this to have all this talk about her overcoming all her challenges she faced. I mean, the glory, the oppression, the physical elements, and then but there's no actual clue in that. And then the clue is you have to bring in another character for a segue, and then in the couple paragraphs that you talk about him, that's where the clue is. And so that's what led me. So there's a few people who have talked about Cassius Clay, and they go down to Muhammad Ali, and they go down a rabbit hole. Butterfly. The butterfly that he's bringing up. Oh, hey, we're talking about this book called There's Treasure Inside. It's by John Collins Black. People in the community, there's a whole little treasure hunter community, referred to him as JCB. And he's hid 5 treasures in 5 different boxes all across the United States. And so I talk about some of the chapters in the book. M-Stars, but I believe it does. I mean, again, we can go down the whole rabbit hole of, is any of this real? Are we living in a simulation or whatever? But, I mean, no, I mean, they haven't found it yet. So this started in a couple months ago, late October, September. And so there's still people, I mean, the author is still putting out Instagram, TikToks about it, still going on Good Morning America, going on, on TV shows, doing about Inside Edition. So as far as I'm concerned, it's still real and out there. At least something's out there. So we'll see if anyone can find it this year, hopefully, and we'll put some of those questions to rest. Although I feel like until all 5 are found, there's always going to be some people that doubt. I mean, that's just the way it is. I'm having fun going along with trying to find the clues and stuff like that. So I'm thanks, appreciate it. Okay, so anyways, the point I was trying to make is that if I'm reading this chapter and if I only find clues for Muhammad Ali, or if the big thing is for Muhammad Ali, I don't know if he would do that, if JCB would do that. As far as, I don't know, in my mind, I'm taking it a little bit as you're overshadowing Wilma. A little bit. I'm trying not to get distracted. I like to respond to the chats, but I don't like to get sidetracked, because if I get sidetracked, I'll go down a rabbit hole, and then 40 minutes later, and I'm not talking about what I'm supposed to be talking about here. No worries. But yeah, so I'm not really looking for a clue or something really big in the Muhammad Ali section. And that's kind of the reason why I want to say that. I'm looking for the Wilma section, and I think that just when I was getting away from the color blue, I go back to it again with her whole ankle thing. And again, that could be, there is other writings where people talk about, like I just Googled, is that a common phrase, or is it black and blue versus blue? Is it purple? And so some people do write, when they get a bruise or they get a swelling, it turns blue. But for me, I've always seen black and blue. And, so who wrote it is John Collins Black. Let's see if we can get a good little name right there. I don't know if that's going to show up backwards on your screen. But Jon, it's a 3-letter John Collins -Black. And I think maybe I should start putting the links in my videos about who wrote it. But he's written, I think, one children's book before. This is like his second book he's ever written, to my knowledge. But this is like his first national. He yes, finished the whole book. Yeah, I've read it a couple times, like 3 or 4 times now. But I'm trying to find clues. Again, we don't know the answers yet. A lot of people we're looking for allegory. We're looking for symbolism. We're looking for metaphors, and we don't know if that's the correct way because no one's actually found a box yet. But I know a lot of people think they're close. So I've already successfully distracted myself. Here's another thing. So the top of, right here, top of page 136. Again, another 5, right? If you're looking for the number 5 and 3, there's 5 at the top of, there's 5 rings right there. But a lot of people have talked about, so we're looking at the images in this book, right? I mean, so let's compare and contrast. I mean, that's a beautiful photo right there. he took some skilled photographers to do that, and the artwork, which most people think is AI. I mean, right? That's something right there. But this is just so plain. Which I guess, I mean, if the symbols for the Olympics are just five rings that are a certain color put them together in a certain order, uh, how much can you spice that up, right? I mean, uh, I go back and forth on this one. A lot of people are like, there's definitely a clue here because it's so plain. Like my son could have made it in Microsoft Paint. I mean, it's just very, very plain. There's not a lot of spice, not a lot of depth to the photo. I mean, it looks very, very flat. But I mean, what if that's the clue? What if it being flat and plain and 2-dimensional is the clue? It definitely sticks out. I will tell you that photo, that image, definitely sticks out in the book. Which anything that sticks out, you want to look at because I would say it's one of the most plain, basic photos in the whole book. So again, what does it mean? Is it just another thing pointing toward 5? I was hoping that the colors would be out of order, but they're not. I mean, are we looking for? Are these 5 colors the 5 we're looking for? I mean, we've talked about blue, green, and red before, right? With the emeralds, with the rubies, with the sapphire. I mean, gold. We could bring in. Yeah, there's several gold chapters. That's what we're looking for. Black is an interesting one. I mean, have there been a lot of symbolism or metaphors or allegory or anything pointing toward the color black? I mean, one of the first things that popped into my mind when I started going down the rabbit hole to prepare for this video was black is absence. I was thinking about, the absence of light. If white is all the colors of the spectrum, black is the absence. I mean, there's a big absence in that we don't know where the box is. We don't know where the clue is. So, if blue is 2 things leading to knowledge, if green is, looking in the middle of 2 things, if red is you're looking for under the layer. I mean, brown, I'm just going off of the colors here. I mean, I don't know if that would be brown. It looks like more of a gold or a yellow to me. But, so if those are the things associated with a certain colors, 5 boxes. Then what is black looking for something like that? So I don't know. I'll have to do a deep dive later and see if the color black comes to anything. I mean, interesting. All right, but those are what I'm getting from that chapter. I do have a few other thoughts for this chapter, but I want to wait for the next video when we go into chapter 16 because I believe 15 and 16 are a pair. So I'll do 16 and then we'll look at pairs or 2s or mirrors to see if what else can we gain from these 2 chapters. I'm feeling pretty good about that whole theory because we're getting toward the end of the chapters, right? So there's 24 chapters in part 1 and there's 4 chapters in part 2. So the way I've worked it is the first 6 chapters were kind of the rules, right? The rules were introduced to the colors. That's where we first meet blue, red, and green. I don't know if we really meet gold or yellow. Well, we do meet gold. We meet gold in chapter 2, right? The gold rings. So I mean that does make it. I mean, I just made that connection right now. If we're going down in order, right? So chapter 1, blue, sapphire. Chapter 2, gold. Chapter 3, no color. Chapter 3. Chapter 4, green. Chapter 5, red. Nope, skipped it. No color. Chapter 5. Chapter 6, red. All right, so is one of those chapters black? I don't know. That would be cool if they were all in order, right? So just put that little connection together that the colors are in. I think each box will. So there's there is a box. There is a name associated with them. I don't know if the author has officially named the boxes, but the community, right? There's about I think 100,000 books sold versus print books and ebooks. So there's about 100,000 people looking, I guess. There's about, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 on an active Discord. I think there's about maybe 1,000 or 2,000 on various YouTube channels. But the names are, you have the Forest Fen box. That's on page 204. You have the Pokemon box, 212. You have the Past and the Future box, 222, and you have the Appalachian Footpath box, page 228. So those are the different chapters, the different names of the boxes there. All right, so that was a little bit about chapter 15. The other thing I want to do in this video is talk about Vegas for anybody who had questions or who felt like they missed out on something, or you just were curious about what went on in Vegas. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, this past weekend, it was the Seeking Treasure Conference, the first ever annual, and it was also the World Series of Fen poker tournament, which I can't remember what number that was. 8, 13. Maybe somebody watching remembers the number. They've been doing that for a couple of years. But it was the first treasure conference, Seeking Treasure Conference. And I was on a panel. It was me and Samantha were on there. And so I just want to talk about a few of the questions they asked me, and maybe elaborate just a little bit more with my answers, because there was like a 20-minute time slot. But they did ask, so what was one of the greatest, I guess, experiences, right? One of the joys from running my treasure hunts, and what was one of the biggest challenges. And so that I can expound, because there was a short time slot, so I'll talk a little bit more about that. So if you're looking for treasure clues, you can go ahead and sign off now. There's really not too much treasure related. I'm kind of shifting. The next 10 minutes or so is about Estes Quest and the answers and questions that were asked on the panel in Vegas. All right. So the biggest success, I guess, for me is, and this one I didn't actually say when I was asked, but that no one got hurt, right? That everyone that went out boots on the ground looking for my gold in either Mojave or in Tennessee, they all came back, and other than being sore, I think a few people tripped and fell with some of the little creek crossings or anything. I would say, in my head, I thought the Mojave was going to be more dangerous, but I think it turns out there was more little scrapes and scratches in Tennessee than in the desert. I guess because how thick the underbrush was. In the Mojave, you can kind of see more around you. There's not so much visual obstacles. I guess your only biggest threat is the elements, which is why I chose to do it in the winter. But so that's one of my big successes, is that no one's gotten hurt yet, and I continue to try to. That's why I really understand what JCB is doing. In my mind, it kind of makes sense that he's pushing. Don't go in the winter. Don't go in the snow. Don't do anything dangerous. Don't no cliff sides, no steep angles. It's kind of what he's implying, and I get that as a small time treasure hunt creator, right? Nothing. There's a vast difference in the scale of my hunts and his hunts, but I do understand the whole thought process of the safety, being safety conscious. I mean, that does keep me up at night sometimes about, oh man, I hope nobody is going off some crazy trail looking for my stuff, or so I try to be pretty open with the clues and where I'm putting it, and try to lead people away from dangerous areas. That was why in the Mojave, while there are some beautiful trails that go up the mountainside, I didn't want to have anything to do with some of the 2 or 3 like highest peaks in that area. So I just went ahead and put those out of the zone, I marked them in red right off the bat, so nobody would be tempted to go up there. So again, everybody's health and safety is one of my successes that I think. 2 is, which this was my official answer right during the panel, was the stories that I got back from the winner of Estes Quest 1, right, the father-daughter team, the fuzzy team. Again, great story there. The time on the road they spent. I'm always big on parent and children relationships and strengthening that. So it was great about that. On this one, Estes Quest 2, I heard a lot of husband and wife teams that actually got out to do something together, which is always, I think, is also great that they got to spend time together. And I also heard from a few people who were living more sedentary lifestyles, is that the word? But were more inside, and they needed a little bit of a kick to get them outside. And this was a nice little possible $2,600 kick to go outside. And so they did get to explore the outdoors again. Yes, my wife went with me to Vegas, and she was at the conference. She has family there, actually. Without getting too much into my own backstory, but yeah, I lived in Vegas for a year in 2020, and that's where I met her at. And she lived there for a couple of years, and she's got family over there, so she was able to see her family. She was with me for the conference, but then for the rest of the events, she kind of wandered off and did her own thing, which is good. So that, again, those are my 2 biggest successes, were the health of everything, the personal stories that I heard from from participants and hunters who responded back saying, "Hey, really appreciate it. Thank you for getting us out there." And I would say the third thing is, just being completely honest, that there was no legal ramifications. A lot of people are scared to take a step in today's society. I think this community, I think the how do I want to say this? This community, the treasure hunting community, is very accepting, very open. But when things go wrong, I think it gets publicized a lot, even if it's a small percentage, right? So there's thousands of people that go out hunting every year. There's probably hundreds of hunts, big and small ones, and we only really hear about the one or two that do end badly, but they're so highly publicized, right? And so that does give a little bit of a. I've talked to some of the. Another great thing about Vegas was I got to talk to other treasure hunt creators and talk to them about their challenges and successes. And one of the things they do talk about is the legal aspect of opening yourself up to, hey, Prospector Pete, what's going on, man? um, you changed your name, Prospector Pete. I think you were Black Horse, right? But yeah, so I think in today's society, everyone's concerned with opening themselves up, especially when you do something like this, put on an event for a lot of people. You're opening yourself up legally, and so we try to take as much precautions as we can. I would say it's been a pretty positive experience for me so far. Yeah, there's always going to be threats, but we just I try to. I would say so. My advice to a new, which I'm leading into the next question, was what advice do you have for newer? What advice do you have for newer treasure hunt creators? Would be you try to limit your liability as much as possible, right? With disclaimers, with being vocal every time you get on a video, with trying to do as much as you can to urge safety, which that's what JCB does. If you watch him, almost every time he does a big interview, he's trying to put out the disclaimer, trying to urge caution. So do that as much as you can. That way, your intent is out there. No one can ever accuse you of having a mal intent or bad intent. But secondly, do hire a professional. If you use YouTube or a big social media site, they do have boilerplate that you can copy and put in. As a matter of fact, if you do a kind of contest or a skill challenge, they require a certain boilerplate. So if you don't do that, you'll be in trouble with YouTube, which I don't. If you're gonna make somebody mad, don't make a large company like that mad. But so, anyways, that would be the advice I would have is protect yourself as much as possible. In the end, this is what my lawyer told me. In the end, someone can always sue you no matter what. Like it doesn't protect you from being sued. It just makes it so when you are brought to court or everything, like you'll win because you've taken all the steps. So again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal professional, but that's as far as I understand it. Oh man, sorry to hear that. That means if I'm cutting in and out now, it's probably gonna have problems when I upload it because I'm live right now, then it goes upload. For some reason, this video comes up live chat. Oh, okay, yeah. Every other time I see Dark Horse, so this is the only time I've seen Prospector Pete. But I guess maybe the name comes up in the chat. I didn't know if you could change your name in the chat. I'll have to look into that. What else? The last question was, well, I kind of went into that. What advice do you have, right? So that would be to protect yourself as much as you can legally. The other thing I would say is marketing. Marketing is a huge thing, which is good to know that I'm not the only one that struggled with that. A few other people did. A few other treasure hunt creators have talked about, yeah, we struggle with the marketing aspect. So just for me, YouTube has been great. I got into TikTok later. That's been pretty good. Unfortunately, there was the whole shutdown thing that kind of put a cramp in it for a little bit, and you can't plan for that. It just happens. Instagram has been not so good. It's been tough. I don't know if it's how I'm marketing it. Probably because I've heard and seen people that have great success, so it must be something I'm not following. Which again, because I'm trying to market across four if you include Facebook, 4 platforms at once, I don't really have the time to dive in and figure out what I'm doing wrong on Instagram. And so in the end, I just end up tampering it way down and really pushing YouTube and TikTok because that's where I'm getting most new joins and most engagement there. So again, I've heard of some people that do really well on Instagram. Some treasure hunt creators do really well. Some only use Instagram. So I just have to look into the analytics, watch some videos to see what I'm doing wrong there. But for me, it's the one thing I have learned is trust the algorithm, right? And so what I mean by that is don't don't do a big blast in the very beginning of your treasure hunt for your friends and family, like, because what's going to happen is, and this was my experience early on, and I've heard this from others, is that if you do a big push for friends and family, coworkers, and all that to, hey, sign up, watch my videos, that's gonna the algorithm, whatever platform you use, because they all have algorithms that they use to push the media, will skew that and will weigh that and it will throw it off, because what the algorithm wants, right? The algorithm wants to find your ideal audience because that's how they make money, right? So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, they have an incentive to find you, your audience, because your audience will get hooked and there'll be more content for them. And it's free for YouTube, right? So, but you throw that off when you put people who wouldn't really watch your video sign up. Like if I did a blast, which I did early on, which was a mistake, but I think I'm correcting it mostly. My aunts and uncles and cousins, hey, everybody watch my video, like, subscribe, and all that. So they would never watch a treasure hunt video on their own. But now the algorithm's throwing it off because the algorithm's like, oh, this person, let's just pick a random cousin who likes cowboy boots, country music, roping, Houston scene. Oh, they also like treasure hunting. So now let me look and see if any other people that likes what they like treasure hunting. And well, yeah, sure, there may be one or two, but that's not the way. That's not the optimal way to work the algorithm, right? You want the algorithm to work for you, and this is nothing like news breaking, or if you Google YouTube algorithms or social media algorithms, they're all gonna say the same thing. So if you're doing a new treasure hunt, you think you just started one, maybe hold off on the friends and family, coworker blast in the early on. And it's counterintuitive because the algorithm does take maybe a week or two to ramp up. And so you could say, well, I could have had like 20 or 30 views on my video if I would have got my friends and family in. And now I have a couple of weeks with like 7 views, right? Or just 1 view, or, God forbid, no views. But you just have to trust the process. And that's the best way I can say it. That's I've seen it work for me. That's how, it's been working out. So I don't know. That's all I have to say about that. It's a little Forrest Gump thing, which Forrest Gump, oh, I said I wouldn't go back to the chapter, but I kind of am, because I was getting big Forrest Gump vibes from that whole chapter with his leg and running in the brace, which I don't know. Is that a clue? Are we supposed to look at Forrest Gump for some analogies? I mean, now I want to look at, just I'm curious, did the author who wrote the book Forrest Gump, right, because the movie was based on the book, did he know about Wilma? I mean, there's a lot of similarities there. I don't know if Forrest Gump ever made it to the Olympics. For ping pong, did he? Did he go to the Olympics for ping pong? I don't know. All right, we've covered a lot of topics today. So I'm gonna end this video, and hopefully the internet catches up, and when I post the video, it'll be all together. We'll see. All right, take care, guys. Bye.